He was one of the 12 disciples. He was the one whom Jesus loved most, and Jesus trusted him to hold his bag of money.
Ow.
But over time, that bag has become heavy. And as the man counted his coins, the teacher's words echoed in his ears. Whoever wants to be great among you will be your servant. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. As he listened to those words, he couldn't help but feel like they were directed towards him, questioning whether his actions were truly serving the greater good. In the bustling streets of ancient Judea, amidst the cacophony of vendors and the murmur of everyday life, there existed a small group of devoted followers of a wandering teacher who spoke of love, forgiveness, and the kingdom of God. Among them was Simon Peter, a man known for his quick temper and impulsive nature. Yet in the quiet moments when the weight of their mission pressed heavily upon him, he found solace in the gentle wisdom of Jesus, the wandering teacher. One day, Jesus called his 12 closest followers to him and entrusted each of them with a task. To some he gave bags of silver, telling them to use the money for whatever they needed. He also told them that they would soon be on their way to Jerusalem. Then he turned to Peter and handed him a money bag, saying, "Keep this bag of silver. It's important that we are prepared." Peter nodded, took the bag, and tucked it under his cloak. At that moment, he felt a sense of responsibility and trust that warmed his heart. He knew that Jesus trusted him, and that was enough. However, as the days passed and the group journeyed through the dusty roads of Judea, Peter started feeling uneasy. The weight of the money bag grew heavier and heavier, not because of the coins, but because of the burden of Jesus' trust. He began to question himself. Was he worthy of such trust? Would he be able to fulfill the mission Jesus had given him? Doubts crept into his mind like weeds in a garden, threatening to choke the seeds of his faith. Meanwhile, Jesus continued teaching the people who followed him. His message was simple: love your enemies, turn the other cheek if someone slaps you, go the extra mile, love one another. Blessed are the merciful, blessed are the pure in heart. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. But not everyone understood or accepted his teachings. In fact, many of the religious leaders and city elders hated him. They saw him as a threat to their power and influence and wanted him out of Jerusalem. So they sent their agents to spy on him, trying to find any reason to accuse him and get rid of him. And here's the thing. One of these agents was Judas Iscariot, one of the 12 disciples. The same Judas who always sat beside Jesus during their meals and listened intently to his teachings. But there was more to Judas than met the eye. He had a secret pact with the city leaders. A pact made in the shadows, far from the earshot of the innocent and unsuspecting followers. Judas had agreed to betray Jesus for 30 pieces of silver, a price so heavy it threatened to crush the very soul of humanity. Peter didn't know any of this, of course. He only knew that the weight of the money bag both fascinated and frightened him. It seemed like a test, an assessment of his loyalty and commitment to Jesus. He had no idea that he was carrying the very instrument of his master's betrayal. Every time he heard Jesus speak about love and forgiveness, he felt a pang of guilt. How could he, Peter, who had known the teacher for so long, carry the symbol of betrayal so close to him? As the days went by, he started sneaking away at night to secretly meet with the city leaders. He would leave the group's lodging in the dead of night, walk through the deserted streets of the cities they visited, and meet with the men in a secret place. There he would receive orders and instructions on how to keep tabs on Jesus, what to report back to the city leaders, and how to ensure that Jesus' mission failed. Peter never told anyone about these meetings, kept them hidden, ashamed and afraid that his fellow followers would learn the truth about him. But the more he participated in the plot against Jesus, the more his conscience tormented him. He could still hear the echoes of the teacher's words ringing in his ears. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. He knew that Jesus was right. He carried the light within him, but he was allowing darkness to consume him. Then one night, while everyone was gathered for a meal, Peter excused himself and slipped out unnoticed. He walked through the dark streets, his heart heavy with guilt and purpose. He went straight to the designated meeting spot where a group of city officials awaited him. They questioned him about Jesus' activities, his teachings, his whereabouts. Peter answered their questions, feeding them information that could be used against the teacher. But as he stood there, surrounded by the men who hated Jesus. He couldn't help but think of all the good he had witnessed his master do. He thought of the miracles, the healings, the forgiveness, the love. Suddenly, Judas entered the room. He had come to collect the payment for his betrayal. When the city leaders saw him, they greeted him warmly, praising him for his loyalty and service. Judas smiled, his eyes gleaming with greed, and accepted the money bag without a shred of shame. Peter watched this exchange from afar, hidden in the shadows. And when Judas left with the money bag, Peter realized how far he had fallen. This was the man, his own disciple, who had betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. Shame washed over him, hot and heavy, and he knew he had to get away before anyone noticed he was there. So he slipped away, melting into the darkness, away from the city, away from the people, away from everything he had ever known. He wandered alone through the silent streets, the weight of his sin pressing down on him like a physical burden. Suddenly, he stopped under a lonely tree. It was dawn, and the first rays of sunlight were beginning to peek over the horizon. That's when Peter dropped the money bag onto the ground with a dull thud. The coins scattered across the ground, glinting mockingly in the pale light. Peter looked at them, his heart breaking. These were the very coins that would be used to pay for his master's betrayal. He had been a part of this, a collaborator in the death of the one person who had shown him the true meaning of life. As the sun rose higher in the sky, Peter turned and walked away. He didn't know where he was going, but he knew he couldn't stay there. He couldn't bear the sight of the coins, the symbol of his fallen nature. He had betrayed Jesus, the one who had loved him, the one who had taught him, the one who had trusted him. And now the weight of that betrayal would forever be his burden to carry. Peter walked on, his head down, his shoulders slumped. He had lost everything, his faith, his purpose, his hope. And all that remained was the heavy, aching knowledge of his sin. The camera pans up slowly from the coins lying on the ground to the face of a lone man walking away into the light. The light fades to white, symbolizing the loss of hope and the death of faith. Do you ever feel like you're carrying the weight of your mistakes? Know that you're not alone. Even Peter, one of the closest disciples of Jesus, struggled with guilt and the consequences of his actions. His story reminds us that we're all human and prone to making mistakes. But it also shows us that no matter how heavy our burdens may seem, we can always seek forgiveness and try to make things right. Thank you for watching this video. May Peter's story serve as a reminder that even in our darkest moments, we can choose to move forward with hope and resilience. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with others. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more cinematic stories.